as well as gentlemen, Papa Boris is back for some more Hearthstone action. Since last we spoke, I actually lost my streak. I had a rogue arena that went to 2 wins. So after 30 plus arenas, I finally got a bad one, less than 4 wins. That was sad. Then I decided to cleanse the emotional scarring from that arena with a nice soothing balm of Overpowered Warrior. Don't really want to play the Warrior just yet, though. I saw that in the upcoming patch, Battle Rage is getting nerfed, although interestingly, Fiery War Axe is not. So I will be playing Warrior as soon as the patch is over. Here we've got to pick between Paladin or Mage. Let's go ahead and pick Mage. Yes, I did in fact ask for the Mage. It's going to be a good time. I'm still trying to figure Mages out. I've done well, but I haven't actually managed to get past 8 wins. I think part of it might be that I'm drafting too many spells, or maybe not enough spells. Anyway, we'll see how things go. So in this first pick, which is an epic, we got Ice Block. This card, it's just got to be terrible, right? I mean, right? When your hero takes fatal damage, prevent it and become immune. So it's like you can buy yourself 1 turn. I don't know about you, but when I take a card into my deck, I would like to take a card that like helps me kill my opponent before I die, but that's just me. Doomsayer, I haven't had much luck with. This 7 health seems like a lot, but it seems like every time I play it, it just gets killed because my opponent has something or other in his back pocket. So we'll take the Blood Knight. This is not the most exciting of epic cards. I'd much rather have one of like the 8/8 giants. But sometimes randomly he will steal Divine Shield and be a 6/6 for 3, so we'll grab him. Alright, we follow up with a rare. I think we're going to have to take Defender of Argus. I actually have experimented with Alarmobot. It was off camera, and it was horrifically bad. So I'm never taking this card again if I can help it, at least not in Arena. Wild Pyromancer is nifty, but I think Defender of Argus giving things buffs and taunt is nice. I'm just appreciating buffs more and more as I play Arena even more. Alright, well, here we have a pretty easy choice. Fireball is a card you definitely want to have in your deck. Frostbolt is a card you definitely want to have in your deck. Man, this Frostbolt is just so good. So good. Okay, so here we have a really tough choice. All 3 of these are really good cards, every single one. I think the Stormwind Champion and the Chillwind Yeti are a cut above the Sorcerer's Apprentice, though, so we'll take her out of consideration. Chillwind Yeti wins games. It's just got such good stats for its mana cost, but Stormwind Champion is late game, and it's important to have a little bit of late game here. So all things considered, I would rather miss a Chillwind Yeti than miss a Stormwind Champion. I have had drafts where I just get no late game cards for many picks in a row. So as much as I love the Chillwind Yeti, and as sad as I will be without it in my deck, I think it's important to give the nod to the champion here, just to make sure I've got some late game when we head into those final hours. Alright, well here, Archmage is a late game card, but since I have Stormwind Champion and we still have many picks to go, I'm not as concerned about grabbing it here. I mean, a 4/7, it's beefy, but it's kind of weak for 6 mana. We're going to go ahead here and grab this early drop just to make sure that I have some stuff in my deck to slow down aggressive Warlock, Hunter, and other rushes. Okay, Arcane Intellect is nifty and all, but I think we'll grab the Loot Hoarder here. Not a big fan of the Stormpike Commando. I'm a mage. I'm going to hopefully have lots and lots of spells. I don't need to take this 2 damage for 5 mana Fragile Body. We'll take this, get some card draw action started. Alright, well, Direwolf and Fen Creeper are both great, but Flame Strike is a card you definitely want to have. Here we have an interesting choice. I think the Wind Fury Harpy doesn't really fit for mages. Mages not typically going to be like a rush 'em down kind of a deck. So it's either card draw or an out against weapons. Now, I used to say you always want to take a Swamp Ooze to have outs against weapons, but I'm going to make a tricky choice here. I honestly haven't actually been seeing that many warriors. I mean, they're out there, and you might lose a game if you don't take the Ooze because you don't have an out against weapons. But I've actually been seeing, like, priests and warlocks lately by the tons. I have no idea why warlock is being played so much. And hunters. Ooze is nice, but I'm not going to actually pick it over this really quality card drawing engine in the Acolyte. Very difficult choice here between the Pine-Sized Summoner and the Violet Teacher. Now, as a mage, I should have lots of spells. Currently, I actually have just 3. But that's really good to get 1/1s off of spells. Pine-Sized Summoner, you might think I'm crazy for not taking it, but, I mean, it's still very good. It used to be that the first minion you play each turn costs 2 less. Then it was just insane. Now it's still really good, but this deck isn't really about aggression. It's not about crushing them down. I'd actually rather have this sort of bigger body. A 3/5 for 4 is almost as good as a Chillwind Yeti, which is a 4/5 for 4, and I am going to be casting spells, so I'm actually going to grab the beefier guy there and pass over the Pine-Sized Summoner. Alright, well, here I think we'll take the Chillwind Yeti. That's just fantastic. We're going to be happy to pick that up. Cone of Cold is a terrific spell. If you don't trust it, just give it a shot once. It's just incredibly good. It slows your opponent down and all that good stuff. Here the call is between Frost Elemental and Frost Nova. I do like to have at least one Frost Nova in a deck. But the Frost Elemental is just such a good creature. While we're nearing the halfway point, still only have one late game card, let's make sure we have a late game and grab the Frost Elemental while we have the chance. Alright, now, the cool thing about Hearthstone is you play the game, initially you dismiss certain cards, you don't think they're very good, and then someone beats you with those cards and you realize, hey, wait a minute, this card's actually great. Mana Worm is one of those cards. I used to always pass this, but I'm starting to realize it's really good, primarily because there's a 50-50 chance that you're going to be second, and the coin does trigger the Mana Worm. So you can like play the Mana Worm on turn 1. It's likely to survive, because 3 toughness is a lot for a 1-mana creature. And then when you coin something out on turn 2 or 3, it's a 2-3. So it's like you kind of got a 2-3 on turn 1. So that's really good, and I'm actually going to pick it here. Perhaps I would have picked it anyway, just because these cards aren't that great. But maybe in another life I would have actually taken the Abusive Sergeant, because the buff can actually be kind of nice. But yeah, we're gonna take the Mana Worm. That's my first time drafting it as a mage. Very, very lucky here. We got 2 trash picks and a Blizzard. Blizzard is just fantastic. So I'll be very happy to pick that up right now. Okay, so we can take some 4-drop creatures. I'm not that worried about card draw. I do have the Loot Hoarder and the Acolyte. I think, crazy as it is, I'm going to grab the Abusive Sergeant here. Couple of reasons. Number 1, +2 attack is really good. Number 2, having a 1-drop against anyone other than Druids, Mages, and Rogues is really good. Especially if I get lucky enough and have the Mana Worm and the Abusive Sergeant in the opening hand. You can do like Mana Worm, Coin, Abusive Sergeant. It's almost as good as like a Defias Ringleader start. And the attack buff is nice. Right now the only buff I have is Defender of Argus, and there are just so many times in a game where I find myself wishing like, man, if only I had a way to give this creature +1 strength, it would make all the difference. So the Abusive Sergeant I think is fine to take there. Okay, so here we're going to take a Frost Nova. The jungle, the Stranglethorn Tiger is very good, but I do like to get a Frost Nova in the deck. It's very, very good in the late game. And I get another Stormwind Champion over the Ironforge Rifleman. This guy can be okay, because I'm a mage, so I can use my hero ability to deal 1 more damage, but Stormwind Champion is just really good. We'll pick that up here pretty happily. Very tough pick here. All 3 of these are solid cards. I don't want to go crazy with the Mana Worms. Let's see, I've got just 4 cards that are 5 mana or more, and only a third of the draft to go. We're going to pick a Boulderfist Ogre here. Let's make sure we get a late game going here. Okay, so here we can take a Sunwalker. That is a good 6-drop, and I could use a couple more, but I'm not going to pass up a Violet Teacher, actually. I have a fair number of spells here. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Probably even going to get a couple more. Yeah, we're going to take another Violet Teacher. Since I was careful to pick the expensive cards later, it gives me the flexibility to sort of ignore late-game cards to some extent now. Alright, Arcane Explosion is a decent spell, but I'm going to take the Gurubashi Berserker. We could do some 5-drops here other than a Blizzard, and this guy survives weapons, he survives Flame Strikes. He basically dies to Shadow Word's Pains and Stampeding Kodos, but still, as long as those things don't happen, he's very good to have in your deck. Alright, now I want to take a moment here to pause. Ice Lance is a card that I have often trashed as a bad junk card. However, there's something that happens sometimes in Hearthstone where a player will use a bad card against you, and it'll be really, really good for them, and you'll be like, oh my god, I can't believe I got blown out by Ice Lance. And then it happens a second time, and you're like, oh my god, I can't believe I got blown out by Ice Lance. And it happens a third time, and a fourth time, and eventually, if someone beats you with a bad card enough times, you have to acknowledge, hey, wait a minute, maybe that card actually isn't bad. And Ice Lance is one of those cards. I've repeatedly been, like, crushed by Ice Lance, where it just deals, like, 4 damage to something that was Frost Bolted, or Coned of Colded, or Blizzarded, or Frost Nova, and I'm like, oh, I can't believe it, like, that Ice Lance was so good, what a loser playing Ice Lance. But you know what? I do have a bunch of freezing stuff in this deck. I'm going to take this Ice Lance. I've got the Violet Teachers, so there's a good chance it's at least going to freeze something and give me a 1-1. Worst case scenario, it's 1 mana for the turn, stopping a big creature. Best case scenario, something that was hit by a Cone of Cold, or Blizzard or Frost Nova, so it's not like a card disadvantage, you can smack them for 4 damage for 1 mana. It's like a lightning bolt from a shaman, but 1 more damage and no overload. So I'm going to grab it here. This is my first time playing Ice Lance. Lots of firsts in this draft. It's going to be great. Alright, so here I have to choose between Fireball and Scarlet Crusader. I could use some more creatures, to be sure. And a 3-drop is kind of a sweet spot here. I really only have 2 creatures playable for 3 mana. So it'd be nice to have this like top-tier 3-mana creature. At the same time, Fireball. Yeah, I think we're going to take Fireball. I think I have to do that. Okay, here we have a great card no matter what we pick. The question is, which one do we want? Well, I do have 2 1-drops, the Sergeant and the Mana Worm, and a Fairy Dragon and a Loot Hoarder. So there's 4 things I can play for 2 mana or less. So I'm not feeling too much pressure to take an Amani Berserker, although it is, I think, the best 2-drop in the game. It might be nice just to grab a Harvest Golem here, which is a very resilient 3-drop. Now, I don't have any taunt in this deck, so how much do I care about that? The answer is 0, because I'm going to be freezing stuff, I'm going to be just torching stuff, I'm going to be flame striking stuff. I don't really need it to be... I don't really need taunters that much. So I think I actually am just going to take the Harvest Golem here for the resiliency of my early game. Alright, I can take a 3rd Stormwind Champion. Well, now I kind of wish, of course, I had taken that Chillwind Yeti, but we're going to grab Water Elemental here. This is a pretty solid one. I don't think I need 3 Stormwind Champions, and this thing has the same total stats as a Yeti. It's extremely resilient for 4 mana, so it's a nice card to have. 2nd Flame Strike, yes please. And here I think we'll take the Dire Wolf for some buffing. I do like to have that in my back pocket. And we have some interesting choices here. I could take the Sorcerer's Apprentice. This has 2 functions. Number 1, early game. Number 2, make spells cheaper, and I do have plenty of spells. I could take Silence. I never did have any Silence in this deck. Granted, with Fireballs and Flame Strikes, I don't need Silence quite as much. And I can take a Boulder Fist Ogre. So let's do a quick count. I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 cards that are 5 mana or more. 6 of which are 6 mana or more. So this Boulder Fist Ogre would give me a very, very strong late game with 2 of those, a Frost Elemental and 2 Stormwind Champions, plus, of course, the Flame Strikes. It's a tricky choice. You know, I think I'll just go for the early game. I think I have enough late game stuff already with the Flame Strikes and the big creatures that I already have. I think I have enough late game. Let's just make sure we get there and plug up my early game plays. I have a chance for another Mana Worm. Double the Mana Worm, double the fun. Or an Amani Berserker. Well, let's take the Mana Worm here. Let's see how it goes with 2 of them. I could coin Mana Worm, or a Mana Worm coin Mana Worm, potentially. Alright, so I could take the Questing Adventure, or I could take a Sunwalker. So do I want a late game brick in the road, or do I want this potentially out of control dude? Oh man, I could use some 3-drops. I've got, what, 1, 2, 3 creatures? Yeah, let's take the Questing Adventure. So I did, and then this might do me in, but you know, the kind of risky call I made in this draft, and this will be the sort of educational experience for all of us, is I passed on some late game creatures toward the end there. I took a Sorcerer's Apprentice instead of a Boulder Fist Ogre, and I took a Questing Adventure instead of a Sunwalker. So we'll see how that goes for me. I guess the results will kind of speak for themselves, but keep an eye on the Questing Adventure and on the Sorcerer's Apprentice and see whether they're good for me or not. Alright, up against a Warrior, so already feeling a little sad that I didn't grab that Ooze. But, all things considered, removal, 2-drop, and quality 4-drop are very good. I'm going to keep the Water Elemental. That's a bit slow, but this survives against weapons. It even survives a whack from an Arcanite Reaper, so I will be pretty happy to drop that down on turn 4. It'll stand its own against most things that will be on the board by that point. Alright, let's see what my opponent has for me here. Mr. Talk to You Later's the Warrior. Starting off with a coin. Oh god! We got a Sunday afternoon casual here on our hands. Which, I don't say that disparagingly. I don't say it disparagingly. It's just, it's fun, you know, to be new at the game, to be learning stuff. And what we learned here, folks, is that you don't want to use coin to use your hero ability. For pretty much any class. The only exception would be Shamans. If you have a Flame Tongue Totem, it is acceptable to play turn 1 coin totem, then drop a Flame Tongue Totem the following turn, and then swing for 2. That's really the only acceptable time. So don't, when you're a warrior, coin out to get 2 armor. Now the reason that's bad is that when you spend your coin, you're losing a card and you're losing mana to essentially gain 2 life, and life isn't that good. Spending a card to gain life is pretty weak in general in TCGs, so you don't want to do that. Anyway, my opponent's going armor out the wazoo. Of course, now having said all this stuff, I'm going to feel really embarrassed if I end up losing. But, see now, he's been gaining life while I've been putting creatures on the board, so he is in serious-ass trouble. Not to be confused with jocular-ass trouble. I'm going to smash some vegetables here. I love this map so much. I wish I could always be on this map. I just love the vegetables spawning back and making that satisfying squish noise when you squish them. Alright, that's a pretty good creature. He can now kill the wolf. Alright, so the man knows what to do with the weapon. That's good. But he's in a bit of trouble here because I can just kill his creature with mine. So, let's see, how do I want to do this? I could, of course, Frostbolt it. Do that, that's a way to kill it. I could play Abusive Sergeant, pump the Acolyte of Pain, trade the Acolyte of Pain into it, draw a card. That's another way of doing it. I could hit it with my Water Elemental, then it would still survive a hit from the weapon. Lots of choices here. I think we'll use the Frostbolt. I mean, I've got the Fireball and the Flame Strike. I've got so much removal here. I don't really mind just keeping my dude alive. Let's go ahead and, well, I'm going to actually keep this guy in reserve, whatever. The surprise is nice to keep in my back pocket. So we will freeze my opponent here so he can't swing. We'll hit him with the Firebolt. Pass the turn. So now my opponent can't attack because he's frozen. Not that he'd probably want to. If he plays something, and he has lots of cards, because he didn't do anything at all this game, except play the Weaponsmith and play Shield Block, which also drew him a card, I can freeze it with Frost Elemental, keep on swinging, and then just work to race him down. He's got 8 cards. Kor'kron Elite, pretty solid card. This would allow him to kill the Acolyte of Pain. Oh gosh, I don't know why he did that. Does he have a cleave? Execute! Ah, very smart move. I would have personally rather, if I were in his shoes, I would have used the Kor'kron Elite to kill the Acolyte of Pain. Then later, on a later turn, either traded the Kor'kron Elite for my Water Elemental and used Execute, or just waited for me to kill the Kor'kron Elite with my own Water Elemental, and then used Execute after that. So basically, this guy really shouldn't be alive, and he is. So we're going to attack, and just to keep board presence up, let's go ahead and play the Frost Elemental. I am losing a little bit of combo potential here, because I have Ice Lance. So, you know, I could have played Frost Elemental and then Ice Lanced something and killed it, but I think it's more important to put the 5/5 on the board, especially because I can back it up with some top-tier removal here. Alright, he's putting out a Naked Cult Master and giving it charge. Alright, that's good. It'll kill my Acolyte of Pain, drawing me a card, but then of course I can finish this guy off with my hero ability. It's a bit of a desperation play using the Cult Master like this. You obviously don't want to lose your fragile card drawer just to kill a dude, especially since it means going down to 1 health, whereupon I can finish it off with Fire Blast. Looks like my opponent has nothing. So, yeah, this game is going pretty good. Let's go ahead and ping that off. Swing. Plant my creatures. Alright. Well, I do have a lot of spells here. So this Mana Worm can grow quite a bit. And everything is conveniently above 2 health, which means the Battle Axe from that Arathi Weaponsmith isn't helping my opponent too much. He's got 6 cards plus a weapon. I have 7 cards. He is up to play. Ah, there's the Arcanite Reaper. Okay. So, he can finish off my Frost Elemental now. That would be the play to make, because it's going to hit him anyway, so he might as well kill it. Upgrade! Uh-oh, that's actually pretty good. Alright, so if he had been applying pressure to me, this is 18 damage that he could have used to smash me with, but looks like, since I'm at 30, that's not really a danger. Now, I do have 2 fireballs. Gotta think about this. This is 12 damage. It will also grow my Mana Worm up to 3, so 12 plus 5 is 17. Alright, kids, always look for the win. Always look for the win. So here we go. We are winning a turn early, stopping my opponent from drawing any outs, and there's a good first game. TTYLZ, talk to you laters, the Warrior. Alright, well, that was a good game. Like always, I'm going to do 2 games in this video, and if you're enjoying how the arena is going, I will post the remaining videos in a second video. He seemed to have a pretty good grasp of the game in some ways. Like, he knew to use the weapon to kill creatures, which some Sunday afternoon casual players do not. He also knew to kill my Frost Elemental with the Arcanite Reaper, which was smart. But he just used the coin to armor up. He made some poor decisions when trading, and that cost him the game. Alright, am I second? Oh, no! Oh, it would have been so great if I were second. I could have gone Mana Worm, coin, Mana Worm, lived the dream. Well, we'll keep them both around, because if I do draw spells, of which I have plenty, they can become a potent force. Let's go ahead and see, though, what I'm drawing. Ah, no spells just yet. How sad, how sad. Oh, man. Mana Worm, coin, Mana Worm. A 2/3 and a 1/3 on turn 1. Ah, Defias Ringleader can go suck a schlong for that. We are on a less fun map. This is the Vandalism map, because everything can be vandalized. Alright, unfortunately, bit of a slow start here for me. These 2 guys only deal 1 damage until I can cough up a spell, and currently I have nothing. It'd be nice to have like a Frostbolt here, so that if you play something I could Frostbolt it, then swing for mad damage. Unfortunately, it looks like all I'm doing next turn is playing the Acolyte. Ah, jeez. Lightwell, that's no good. Okay, that was extremely timely. I'm not going to complain. Let's see, can I kill this without the Frostbolt? No, okay. Let me think. If I Frostbolt my opponent, these will become 2 damage apiece. Take the Lightwell down to 1. Nope, let's not take any chances. This is a pretty dangerous card, this Lightwell. It can be inter-fired and suddenly become a 5/5. Let's just kill it. And swing. So, gotta admit, that was a pretty good top deck. Shadow Word Pain can kill these, but he can only play 1 Shadow Word Pain, so the other one will survive. Very aggressive start here from my nice late-game deck. What does he have for 3 mana? Still has a coin. He could play something for 4. Senjin Shield Master would actually be really great here. It would completely stop everything in my tracks. Chillwind Yeti would also be good. It'll end up trading for both of these. So if he has either of those plays, he should do it. Ah, interesting. So this means that next turn, if he can play Holy Nova, it will actually kill both of my creatures. I can't play a spell to buff him anymore, sadly. But I do actually want to kill this thing, even though it means taking them down to... Oh, Jesus, hang on a second. This is actually tricky. If I swing both of them into this Dalaran Mage to kill it, then they both go down to 2 health, so then they die to Holy Nova anyway. One of them plus hero ability isn't quite enough to kill it. I can't play Blizzard or anything. Ah, crap. Well, if he has Holy Nova, then I'm screwed. So what's the least bad scenario? I guess the least bad scenario for me is that, yeah, the least bad scenario for me is that I take the Dalaran Mage off the board. Because if I swung past and he had Holy Nova, these 2 things would die, and he'd still have his creature. So I might as well get rid of the creature. Now, if he plays Holy Nova here, he does kill 2 of my creatures, but they have already killed 2 of his cards together, and I would draw a card from the Acolyte of Pain. So that is the Holy Nova as I suspect. It's actually pretty good as far as Holy Novas go. Yep, there it is. I am okay with this. That was his whole turn. I still have another card coming in later. And I can swing. This is a bit unfortunate. I'd really like to play this, but I'll play this thing and that thing. So my opponent is fortunate to have had Holy Nova. However, I'm fortunate to have some pretty epic stuff coming online. So the best thing that can happen for me is that he plays creatures. Because if he plays a creature right now, like 1 big creature, I can boom, freeze it, keep swinging. If he plays a second big creature the turn after that, I can play Stormwind Champion and start smashing some faces. So I'm in pretty good shape here. Alright, Gurubashi Berserker. We will leave that alone. I don't see any particular reason to worry about that. Let's just go ahead and do this. Freeze that. And swing by. I love this Frost Elemental. If you don't use these, by the way, in your arenas, reconsider. It allows you to make quote-unquote bad plays. Like, normally, if your opponent plays a Gurubashi, it's a bad play just to drop a 5/5. But I can do that because it freezes his guy and stops him from attacking, which allows me to make some plays. Okay, so now I need to address this Gurubashi. Let's think about this. If I play the Stormwind Champion and just swing, this is a 2/2, this is a 4/3, unless he has Shadow Word Death. The Gurubashi can kill off my Acolyte and get enraged, but I got the 6/6 on the board. Another plan would be to play Fireball, hero ability. That costs 5 of mana, leaving me with 2. Yeah, which I can't use, actually. That would be kind of sad. So yeah, we're going to go for the aggression here. I'm actually going to buff my creatures, take the time to put the 6/6 on the board. Since my opponent already spent his coin, he cannot coin out Mind Control, so this thing is safe for at least a turn, and even then I can Fireball it to death, if need be. Mad Bomber, it's a cute play. So he got the hit and it enraged his guy. Oh my gosh, that was really perfect for him. Holy shit. He hit 1 on the Gurubashi to enrage it, hit 1 on my Stormwind Champion to bring it down to where the Gurubashi can kill it, and then the other went on me, you know, just because. Oh, that's terrible. Well, you know, that's what you gotta do with Mad Bombers. I don't resent my opponent for playing Mad Bomber. If you have Mad Bombers, you have to go for the plays. Sometimes it'll work, sometimes it'll suck. Faces Manipulator, very good play by my opponent, so he gets a Stormwind Champion before trading off to kill mine, I assume. Oh my gosh, I think that was a strategic mistake. I think that was a strategic mistake because basically what he's doing with this is saying, I'm going to race you. That doesn't seem very smart to me. I mean, I'm a mage. I got lots of freezing stuff. I'm already ahead in the life race. Yeah, we're going to do this. Let's go ahead and play Cone of Cold to freeze up his team. I don't even need to worry about his guys. I'm just going to swing past. If you want to race, you can have a race. Let's go ahead and drop my own Gurubashi. That's turn. There are, of course, things that can go wrong. I mean, he can Mind Control, get another Stormwind champion, but I've got Blizzard to freeze his whole team again. I can really just keep on swinging. What has he got? I'd actually love to see a Mind Control. Mind Control would make my day. Thought Steal. Well, he's spending 3/8 of his mana to take 2 of my cards. He could, of course... Actually, no. My Blizzard's in my hand. He can't get that. He could get a Flame Strike, but not be able to cast it. Probably the worst thing he can get is a Fireball, I think? Just to kill my Stormwind champion. I think he's in trouble, though. Alright, he's fingering a card of mine he just drew. Looks like then he's playing one of his own cards. I mean, it's almost dead. He's at 10 life. I do have significant damage here, plus a Fireball. So my opponent's in rather big trouble. Mind Control would not have saved him, and I don't think what he thought stole is going to save him either. Water Elemental. That's definitely not going to save him. That's definitely not going to save him. Okay, so my opponent is making absolutely the correct play. He's basically playing stuff down to see if I will remember to check for the win. And that's exactly what you want to do, because some people will forget to look for the win and they'll just start trading off the creatures and whatever, give you another chance to come back. But that I did not. I know my own lesson. Always look for the win, and I looked for it and I found it. So anyway, let me pause before I end this video. So if you enjoyed this video, please consider liking and or subscribing. I would appreciate that tremendously. And if you like how the arena is going, then stay tuned. The rest of the videos are coming soon. But let me actually take a moment and talk about that game. There was a key place where my opponent, I think, just made a strategic blunder, is when he chose to swing at me instead of trading off my creatures. If he had killed his Gurubashi running into my Stormwind champion, it would have reduced the damage that he took the subsequent turn by 8. 6 for the Stormwind himself, plus 2 more for the buff it was giving my creatures. And then he would have, at the very least, had an extra turn in order to search for an out. But he chose not to do that, and he lost a turn sooner. So, that was a really good game. My opponent, I think, played well, but there was one strategic blunder that he made, and that's something that we can all learn from. So again, thank you for watching. If you enjoyed the video, like and or subscribe, and the rest of the videos the rest of the games from this arena are coming shortly. I'll see you soon.